Could there be a world where gravity doesn't exist, and everything floats around freely? It's difficult to imagine a world without gravity, as gravity is a fundamental force of the universe and is what holds objects together and keeps them in motion. However, in theory, it is possible to imagine a world without gravity. In such a world, objects would not be attracted to each other, and would not be held down by any force. Everything would float around freely, including people, animals, and plants. This would have a profound impact on the way life would evolve in such a world, as organisms would need to adapt to the lack of gravitational forces. Without gravity, it's also possible that planets and stars would not form, as gravity is what causes the matter in the universe to come together and form larger structures. This would mean that the universe itself would be drastically different from the one we currently inhabit. Overall, while it's possible to imagine a world without gravity, it's difficult to say what such a world would be like, as it would require a complete rethinking of the laws of physics and the nature of the universe. One thing to consider is that without gravity, there would be no way to differentiate between up and down. This could have a profound impact on how organisms perceive and interact with their environment. For example, there would be no sense of falling or jumping, as there would be no force to pull you back down to the ground. Furthermore, the lack of gravity would also impact the way objects move and interact with each other. Without gravity, objects would not be able to orbit around each other, as there would be no force to keep them in motion. This would mean that the structure of the universe would be very different, with no planets or moons as we know them. Another consideration is that without gravity, the shape of objects would be very different. On Earth, gravity causes objects to be pulled towards the center of the planet, which creates a spherical shape. Without gravity, objects would not be pulled towards the center, and would likely have more irregular shapes. Overall, a world without gravity would be vastly different from the one we currently inhabit, and would require a complete rethinking of the laws of physics and the nature of the universe. While it's an interesting thought experiment, it's unlikely that we will ever encounter such a world in reality. In a world without gravity, the concept of weight would also be non-existent, as weight is a measure of the gravitational force between two objects. This means that objects and organisms would have a completely different sense of mass and density, and it would be much more difficult to determine the properties of materials and substances. Moreover, in a world without gravity, air and other gases would not be held down to the ground, and would float freely like everything else. This could result in the atmosphere being distributed more evenly throughout space, rather than being concentrated near the surface of the planet as it is on Earth. Another consideration is the impact that the lack of gravity would have on human physiology. On Earth, gravity is what helps to keep our bones and muscles strong, as our bodies have to work against the force of gravity to move and stay upright. Without gravity, our bodies would not experience the same resistance, which could lead to muscle and bone atrophy. Overall, a world without gravity would be drastically different from the one we currently inhabit, and would require a complete reimagining of the laws of physics and the structure of the universe. While it's an interesting thought experiment, it's unlikely that we will ever encounter such a world in reality. Another potential consequence of a world without gravity is the lack of a stable atmosphere. On Earth, gravity holds the atmosphere in place, allowing for the formation of weather patterns and atmospheric layers. Without gravity, the atmosphere would not be held down, and could potentially drift away from the planet or be pulled towards nearby objects. Furthermore, the lack of gravity could also impact the formation of life. On Earth, gravity plays a crucial role in the development of embryos, as it helps to orient the embryo and guide the development of organs and tissues. Without gravity, it's possible that the development of life would be very different, and it's uncertain whether complex organisms like humans could even develop. In terms of technology, a world without gravity would require completely new forms of transportation and infrastructure, as traditional modes of transportation such as cars, planes, and trains would be obsolete. Instead, technologies such as magnetic levitation and propulsion systems would be necessary to move objects and people around. Overall, a world without gravity would be a vastly different place from the one we currently inhabit, with profound implications for the development of life, the structure of the universe, and the technologies we use to interact with our environment. While it's difficult to imagine such a world, the thought experiment can help us gain a better understanding of the fundamental forces and laws that govern our universe. Another interesting consequence of a world without gravity is the way that liquids and gases would behave. On Earth, gravity causes denser fluids to sink and less dense fluids to rise, which is why we see water at the bottom of a glass and air at the top. In a world without gravity, there would be no force to cause this separation, and fluids would mix more evenly. This would have implications for the way that organisms obtain nutrients and oxygen, as they would have to develop new strategies for obtaining these resources. In addition, without gravity, the concept of time would also be different. On Earth, gravity causes time to pass more slowly near large masses such as planets and stars, a phenomenon known as time dilation. Without gravity, time would pass more uniformly throughout the universe, and the concept of time as we currently understand it might not even exist. Another potential consequence of a world without gravity is the formation of structures and objects. On Earth, gravity causes objects to take on specific shapes, such as the spherical shape of planets and the columnar shape of trees. Without gravity, objects would not be shaped by these forces, and might take on more irregular and unpredictable forms. Overall, a world without gravity would be a very different place from the one we currently inhabit, with profound implications for the behavior of matter, the development of life, and the fundamental nature of the universe. While such a world is purely hypothetical, thinking of...
Are you curious about something? If there is anything you would like to know, let me know in the comment section below. Let's learn together. If you like the video, don't forget to subscribe for more information. Thanks for watching.